There's two types of people in this world: people that lead and people that follow. Be a leader. Like if you want to make money in life, you got to be a leader. You got to be willing to be okay with someone not following you when you say we're going this way, and like 8 people go the other way and 1 person follows. That's all you really need, right? And like that's a cheat code in this life that people don't understand. You guys have way more power than you guys understand. Like even if you're meek, even if you're quiet, people aren't used to people leading. There's very few leaders in this world, and you might not be cut out for it. Listen, I might be cut out for it now only because I put myself through the process of becoming a little uncomfortable, but now I do it and I'm like, people need more people leading because there's a bunch of morons out here leading people. So at least we know what we're doing instead of, Johnny, the guy from Santa Barbara that has the marketing degree, doesn't know shit. He's just listening to some BS. It's not going to work. So know deep down that you guys have a crew of 7,000 people all over the world that have your back, that will help you out. Like you can't lose if you utilize what you have here. There's nothing that I'm afraid of when it comes to the internet. There's nothing these guys are afraid of when it comes to the internet. You can't stump us on something that like we're going to go, oh, well, we can't figure that out. Like we've seen it all. So no, every situation you get yourself into, you guys have like some crazy firepower behind you that can figure out anything. If we maybe haven't done it specifically before, we can figure out any of this stuff. It's not hard. Marketing
and that confidence just comes with reps as well. If you feel like you don't have that right now, don't worry, because I didn't have as much confidence in sales back when I first started either. But with reps, like it comes. So
cool. Let's end with
nothing high level was built in a day. So there's a reason why like it takes time, because that's the time that most people aren't willing to put in. So if you're willing to put in that time, you can separate yourself from the competition.
Find that one thing in life that you're either competing for or competing against, right? Some of you guys don't have enough energy or enough ambition yet to maybe do this. That's what we're here for, to kind of help continue to push you in the direction that we know you want. But like figure out like who is it that you're trying to beat? Like you have to have someone that you're trying to kick their ass. Like you got to get up and be like, I'm kicking my own ass. Like I don't care what you're doing. You got to be competing for something or against something, or for someone or against someone. Like even if they don't know it. Like my brother's company, like they're always my target to beat. I'm a one-man show. I work from home. They got hundreds of employees all over the world. Blah blah blah. Like they're my target. They don't know that they are my target, but they've always been my target. And every day and every month, I'm looking at them going like, how do I beat these sons of bitches? I love them. They're my brothers. But I'm going to beat them. It's just like I just created an adversary that I'm like, wake up. And that's what I'm pumped to do, is like beating them. Like one guy's going to do more than this whole company. Like that's what I sold myself. So that's what I do every day. And that's how I think a lot of us need to get back into that competitive zone that like, dude, screw everything else. Like, if it's freaking 4th down and you're on the 20-yard, you got to score, let's freaking score. I'm not worried about getting hit. If I get hit and freaking break my neck, that's what happens. But I got to score and win the game. And more of us need to start embodying that, because that's that edge that you have to have at some point. It doesn't need to be aggressive. It could be kind. It could be like, I'm competing for my parents, and I'm just going to freaking do it because I don't want them living like that anymore. But I'm going to get aggressive about it. No different if someone walked into your parents' home and started threatening them, you would stand up and like, no. I got them, right? But why don't you do it in a monetary standpoint? Well, every one of you guys have, you can. You're choosing not to, but I think it's just because you haven't framed it up that that's what you're here for, right?
It's crucial, right? That like the question is like, how do you do that? Okay, Dan, like I need to either be going for something or competing against something. And we talked about this in teams, but it's this idea of like being very aware of the conversation that's happening out in the market. So whether it's in B&I or your community or on, like wherever you're kind of like doing business, like what's the conversation happening there? And then also the conversation happening in your head about that conversation. You heard it like as Dan was coaching Omari on like how he's going after Chamber of Commerce and how he needs to assume the sale with some of these gatekeepers, right? All it is like a simple, like when Dan says it's a frame shift, it's all that idea we talked about. You have to sell yourself just as much as you do your prospects, and you have to sell yourself first. It's the reason why if any of you are kind of like dipping your toe, like, oh, I'm gonna like try this thing out and see see if it works. And I don't know, like if, yeah, I love it when I see the like, hey, but is lead generation a real business? Questions like, oh, dude, you're never gonna win. Like you've already lost because you don't see the value in what. Like, of course, it's a real business. Look at Lending Tree, Home Advisor, Thumbtack, freaking Google. For like they believe in lead gen. Like that's all their business model is, and so they have convinced themselves in their heads. So right or wrong, one way or the other, we're all telling ourselves a story in our head about about the conversation happening out kind of in real time, and you have to be super aware of that, and you have to shift that, and you can. It's the people that are asleep at the wheel that are just like that are only paying attention to the conversation that's happening out in front of them. They don't even realize the conversation going on in their head.
Yeah.
As soon as you recognize it, now you can change it.
Yeah, like so much of this business is like an attitude thing. Like I'm sure it's like every business, like it's an attitude. Like you make the decision that like you're gonna succeed in this business. Like failure is not an option. I'm gonna make this work, or I'm gonna die trying. Like failure is not an option. Like if I come across stumbling blocks, like I'm gonna figure out another way. Like I'm gonna solve it. I'm gonna problem solve. Once you make that decision, like it's gonna carry across in your tonality of how you talk to business owners. Like you're just gonna do whatever it takes to make this thing work.